Hey kids, it's Dad. Today I want to talk a little bit about how we pass things down generationally and how we're kind of given and dealt a hand by our parents that's completely out of our control. So let's sit down for a minute and let's talk about it. In case you don't know me, I'm a father of a 6-year-old daughter and then a 1-year-old foster son. And I'm just a normal dad that screws up every day, making mistake after mistake. And if you're choosing to watch this, and you have a broken relationship with your father, know that you're welcome here. And I'm glad that you're here. And I hope you find comfort when you're here, watching these videos, and know that I have other videos that may be worth watching out there too. So for today, I just want to kind of reflect on and talk about how things are passed to us generationally, the things that I was dealt as a kid growing up and had to deal with. And there will be things that you have to kind of grow up and deal with. But I think the important thing is how we respond to those things and how we handle those things and deal with them when we come to age. Because if we don't, they'll get passed on to our next generation. But we're all likely to be like our parents, to deal with the same things that our parents deal with. And unfortunately, those things that are bad, those things that are evil, get passed on from generation to generation. So as we get older and come to age, our 20s or 30s or whatever it may be, we have to realize that we have to come to face these things and we have to deal with them. And if you don't, if you just shove them under the rug, you just push them off till later, it's likely you're going to pass them on to your next generation. So before I jump into it, I kind of want to preface it with, you know, your grandfather today, and you know that the great man that he is today. And you know that he is a gentle heart. He's an introvert, doesn't talk a lot. He's kind of to himself. And that's part of his personality, and it's part of what makes him great too. And he shows so much love on all you children, all the grandchildren he pours into. But if we rewind a little bit and go back to when I was a kid, kind of your age, it wasn't quite the same experience for me. And I share this with a heavy heart because I love my father and I love what he's done today and the man that he's become today. But I have challenges in my past, things that have been passed to me generationally that I've had to deal with. There were times that he was actually quite abusive, which was hard to handle. And there were days that as a child, I just lacked meaning and struggled and didn't really see the point to a lot of things. And I really struggled with my own hope and living day to day in fear for my own safety and for my siblings and also my mother's safety and stuff as well. But there was a time that our family was in a really big hardship. I think a lot of this stems back to my father and his personality of kind of avoiding conflict, keeping things internalized, not getting things out, not externalizing things, making them tangible so you can talk about it and think about it and make sense of it. But he kept it all in, and it led to a lot of anger. And there was also a time that my parents, your grandparents, they had another child beyond just me, my brother, my sister, your aunt and uncle. But there was actually a daughter that they had as well. It was a girl. And she would have been just about a year or two older than me. And she was born with heart issues. So they actually lost her when she was about 9 months old. So I think that was a transition point. It's before I was around, so I don't know 100%. But what I've heard through stories is that was kind of a turning point in my dad, and just a point that he was very angry with things and angry in life. And rightly so. He should have been. That's such a hard thing to deal with, to lose a child, and especially a child so young. So it's how do you go about your day and how do you get back to life after you've lost a child like that? But a lot of this anger got passed on to us children and to our mother, and a lot of it was taken out on us. And it led to us living in fear every day and living out a life that wasn't very joyful. And I struggled, and that's my personality to kind of turtle and be an introvert and not share. I did the same things my father did. So I ended up behaving in the same way that my father did. It's just one, seeing him from experience is what I learned and how I learned. And just similar personalities anyway. Going to behave in the same ways. So I didn't really have a place to escape. I didn't really have a place to get away. So I had to live in fear and kind of turtle into myself and protect myself. And it led to a lot of pain and a lot of turmoil and just hopelessness, to be honest. But as time goes on and as I started to grow older, I started to finally have more control over things and more control over my life. And I started to find opportunity to change. But I was a prodigal son, and I ran away for sure. But in doing so, I was led to a place where I began to learn of how to understand myself and understand where I fit into the world around me, and start to learn that I was holding things in, and it took your mother, meeting her and having a relationship with her to realize I have to start getting things out. I have to start talking about things. I have to externalize things. Otherwise, I can manifest them into whatever I want them to be. But what happens is you get your ideas out, and now you make them tangible, and you can start to see them and reflect on them and see what's really happening. And then you can understand and kind of get to the truth of things and truth of the matter. And I think you'll love yourself more for that. And we all have a little bit of trauma built into our lives, some more than others. This was something from my past. It was a past trauma that was passed on from my father down to me. And it was something that was super important for me not to pass down to you all. So I had to get that out. I had to understand that. I had to see myself in it and figure out, okay, this is not me. This is not my fault. And it's not something that is really anybody's fault. I need to understand that the generations before me had certain things happen, had certain challenges that they needed to face. And in order for me to solve this problem, that I need to firsthand deal with this problem. And until that problem is dealt with, it's not going to change. So in order to make sure that this doesn't get passed on generationally, these kinds of things don't get passed on to our children, I have to deal with them. And I'm rambling around this a lot and trying to talk about this a lot, but at the end of the day, the point is that you're going to be dealt with these traumas, you're going to be dealt with these challenges and problems, that it's likely you will pass them on to your children and the people around you. And I think that's part of what we're called to do. I think we're called to do hard things, and these would be some of those hard things. It is so hard to hold a mirror up and see yourself, especially when it's not something good, when it's something bad, and it's something that you've done, and it's easy to just shove it down or shove it away and not want to deal with it. But it's something that I think is so important in order to change and in order to kind of get back to that joy and hope of life again. We're kind of called to deal with these things as we grow older. This is what I want you to know today, and I think it's some really good advice. I'm thinking about your future and you having children someday if you choose so. It's something that we all have to come to and realize. It's something we all have to deal with. But I appreciate everyone for listening and everyone for watching this video. Check out over here if you want to see the next video, and subscribe and follow my channel over here as well. But so just appreciate your time, that you're here. Just know that you're welcome, and we hope you find comfort here.